All right, peace. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, giving honor and praise to the God of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Give a double honors to 7130 South Chicago that taught me this truth. Give a double honors to all the brothers and sisters that the Creator has awoken in these last days. With that being said, peace and shalom. All right, we're going to go into some news today. We're going to be talking about the conflict over there in quote-unquote Ukraine. And why is Ukraine invading, not Ukraine, but why is Russia invading Ukraine? Because, when you look at CNN News, Fox News, and a lot of these different news stations, they're painting a narrative that the reason why Russia is invading Ukraine is because Russia is the big bully, and that Russia wants to have basically everybody over there in Europe and throughout the world under their grip of what you would call slavery, what they would say communism and stuff like that. So let's read some things, right? So this is a article that I had picked up talking about the natural resources that's over there in Ukraine. So it says, Ukraine belongs to the leading mineral raw countries. Let me read that over. Ukraine belongs to the leading mineral raw countries of the world with a wide range of minerals. Ukraine, 0.4% of the Earth's surface and 0.8% of the world's population, right? So it says has about 5% of the world's minerals resources. It says more than 20,000 deposits and manifestations of 200 different minerals have been discovered in Ukraine. Of these, 7,807 deposits of 94 types of minerals are of industrial importance. Ukraine holds one of the leading places in reserves and extractions of iron, manganese, titanium, zirconium ores, non-metallic raw materials. It says coal, oil, natural gas, iron, manganese ores, native sulfur, rock, potassium salt, non-metallic building materials. Mineral waters have the greatest economic importance. The deposits are located in different geological regions of Ukraine. So we don't really have to read the article, even though I'm gonna probably look over some things, right? Matter of fact, let's read some of this. Now, some of the words it's going to be pronounced probably in Russian or in Ukraine. So some of the stuff I'm not going to be able to pronounce. I'm going to try to pronounce it the best way that I can. But it says coal. Coal is the only hydrocarbon fossil raw material which reserves can meet the needs of industry and energy in Ukraine in the next 200 and 500 years. Coal takes a leading place in the fuel and energy balance of Ukraine and the structure of hydrocarbon fossil resources of Ukraine. Coal is about 95% oil and gas 2.5% each. The total coal reserves of Ukraine to a depth of 1,500 meters amount to about 117 billion tons. The main reserves of coal are concentrated in, if I could pronounce it right, Donetsk and Lviv Volyn basins. 94.9% of total coal reserves of Ukraine. 92.4% in Donetsk Basin, 2.5% in Lviv Volysky Basin. More than 30% of the reserves of these basins are coke and coal. So we can continue to read it, but we have a clear understanding. Now let's read something about natural oil and natural gas. It says in Ukraine there are about 138 million tons of oil, 1,118 billion cubic meters of natural gas, 79,483,000 tons of gas condensate. Most of the available oil and gas fields have been in operation for decades and are mostly exhausted. So, really, what the war is really about, the war is really about Ukraine want to exercise its right as a sovereign nation to join NATO. But here's the flip side of the coin of this. The reason why Putin has made the choice to invade Ukraine is because if Ukraine joins NATO, now what is NATO? NATO is like the military of the European Union. That's what NATO is. NATO is like that you got to look at NATO as in regards of you got to look them as regards of the military of the European Union. Because the European Union, you got to look at that in terms of the financial aspect of the union. Like you look at Great Britain and, when you look at Britain, you got to look at them as like the financial part of the union. America is like the military. So Ukraine wants to join NATO. So when you look at that, the reason why Russia invaded them is because Russia doesn't want them to join the military of NATO, is because they really they're really, you gotta kind of look at them as like spies, is because they're basically because if Ukraine if they're allowed to join NATO, then the United States and all of the allies of NATO, they'll be able to build what you would call military bases and things of this nature on their land. So that's right next door to Russia. So Russia is not having it. So, and plus, certain parts of Ukraine, Russia gave it to them, like around in the 1700s. I think Crimea was given to Ukraine by Russia is because Russia and the Ukrainian people, they're basically the same people. We understand that they have different nationalities, but they come from what you would call the Slavic bloodline. Like they all Slavics. Like you got the Yugoslavians, you got Russia, you got Ukraine, you got Czech. A lot of them are what you call Slavs. What they would call they use that term today. So they're really out of the same litter. So I think about 10 or 12 years ago, Ukraine gave back their nuclear weapons to Russia because they wanted to, like, America was saying that in order for y'all to basically, one second. All right, we back. In order for y'all to basically join the European Union, this is what y'all gonna have to do. They use colloquial speech. They say you're gonna have to clean up what you would call the corruption that's going on in Ukraine. So, in my opinion, it may have been corruption in Ukraine, but they are not more corrupt than America, Britain, and the rest of the people that's a part of the European Union. But in my opinion, that's one of the code words that you're gonna have to do what? You're gonna have to separate yourself from Russia, is because Russia, they had nuclear weapons that was given to them by Russia. So in order for them to join the European Union, you're gonna have to resolve yourself from different tasks that's located with Russia. This is why they end up giving up their nuclear weapons. They gave their nuclear weapons back to Russia. And also they clamped out house and things of this nature. And then they allow America and the European Union to set them up with individuals that you would call puppets that can run Ukraine from what you would call NATO and the European mindset, but really from an American mindset, is because America is really running they really running the majority of the situation. Them in Britain, I believe. So they give up their weapons, and that now in 2022 they want to join NATO. They hadn't even joined NATO yet. Russia came in on them and did what? They rushed in and they invaded them, because if they allow them to join NATO, then they will become what? They will become allies to the United States and the European Union. And Russia can't have that. This is and also, what is the bargaining tool? The bargaining tool is what we was reading, the natural resources. They're going to be able to do trade with the European Union and other countries and things of this nature. This is why I read all of this stuff. The oil, shale, oil and natural gases, iron ore, manganese, titanium. It's because this is the bargaining tool code. This is what they're going to use to try to get themselves into the European Union. So this has nothing to do with Putin being a dictator or a bully. The reason why he's running in on Ukraine is because why? Is because if he doesn't take over Ukraine, then Ukraine is going to strengthen itself. So you got to look at Ukraine in terms of what you would call, I like to play sports. You got to look at them in terms of a boxer, right? When he first starts out, you can't just, a lot of times you just can't put a boxer in with the best boxers in the world. He has to do what? He has to go through steps. You know what I'm saying? He has to go through steps. You have to start him out with mediocre fighters. And then you escalate him to, he's going to escalate as he progresses in his training and his mental fortitude to be able to go against the best fighters. So when I'm looking at Ukraine is using the aspect of the reason why Russia is coming in on Ukraine, because it see Ukraine as a threat to them. That's why they coming in on now. So Russia has to make a move on the chessboard to take control over the natural resources that's over there in Ukraine. So before they even go into Ukraine, they already understood that they was going to be hit with sanctions very hard. They knew that they was going to be hit with sanctions from America and the European Union. But if Russia takes over Ukraine, then they're going to have the bargaining tool that the United States and people around the world need. See, the United States was banking on closing out the deal with Ukraine so that they can get control, so they can tap into these natural resources. Ukraine got a lot of natural minerals and things of this nature under the ground that they haven't really tapped into. Is because they don't have the machinery to be able to do so. Just like over there in Venezuela, the whole war that was over there in Venezuela was for the natural resources. It's because before Hugo Chavez died of cancer, Venezuela had, they still do, they have a lot of natural resources that is not tapped into. They got oil, they got all type of all type of gold and stuff like that that's under the ground, but they can't use it is because they don't have, quote unquote, the resources to be able to bring it out of the ground and be able to, they can't even trade it amongst the nations because the United States and other nations, they pretty much froze those people out. And then the United States and the European Union, they crashed the economy. That's why the Venezuelan people, this is why they was going to other countries to try to seek asylum, is because they were at war too. See? So what is this from a scriptorial standpoint of view? What is this? This is Matthew 24, and I'm gonna read the sixth verse. It says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." So, what the Creator is telling us is this: is that when we're looking at the war in Ukraine, we're looking at the wars around the world. These are what you would call wars and rumors of wars. See? But we haven't seen nothing yet. It's because what people don't understand, this is where we come in at. Even if you don't believe in the Bible, let's say you don't believe in the Bible, fine. You still got to understand that Russia and America is two of the top dogs from a military standpoint of view. It is estimated that Russia have over 70,000 nuclear weapons. America, they saying that it's estimated that they have over 69,000 nuclear weapons. So you add 70 and 60, that's 130,000 nuclear weapons that is in the earth today. And what's going to happen is that what? This war is going to turn nuclear. It's going to turn nuclear. And a lot of people is going to lose their life. It's because all you have to do is go back to World War I and World War II. Do you know that in World War I and World War II, it's estimated in both wars that over 20-something million people was hurt during the war. Almost 40 million people lost their life in those wars. And they hadn't even really split the atom to the point where they have advanced themselves today. During the First and the Second War, this is when America, in the countries, this is when they first got a hold, what you would call to what? The hydrogen bomb and all this, all these nuclear bombs that can really devastate the planet. So when we're talking about wars and rumors of wars, that means what? That you're going to be seeing a lot of different wars, and it's going to be catastrophic, but the end is not. It says the end is not yet, and what is that? The end of an age. And the end of an age, what's going to happen is what? That it's going to be so catastrophic that you're going to have billions of people that's going to lose their life. But see, the masses of people that's watching television, see, we even watching the news, but we can't even rightly divine what's going on in the news. America and the European Union, they're the ones that's putting out the false news that, quote unquote, Russia is just coming in on these people for no reason. No, they not. They're coming in is because Ukraine has sided with America. So now Ukraine is considered an adversary to Russia. And what is the bargaining tool? The bargaining tool is to be able to use the natural resources. This is why the gas is up at the pump. It's because they're fighting over natural resources. All wars are fought over natural resources, right? Religion, and the mindset of the people. This is what the wars is fought over. And see, another thing that we have to understand, no, most so-called black people don't want to see this, but the European Union, or the so-called white race, is because before the Europeans or the so-called white race took over, you had what? You had the black race that was ruling. And a lot of us is under the influence of the adversary. This is why you seeing people creating bombs in the earth. See, you could do a lot of good things with natural gas or splitting the atom. But what they're doing is they're creating bombs and they're going around extorting people. 7th verse. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. And earthquakes ain't just literal earthquakes. What is another way that you can establish earthquakes? By what? By nuclear nuclear weapons and shooting off bombs in the earth. See? This is another way that you can establish earthquakes, pestilence, and things of this nature, because a lot of these bombs that they're shooting off, see, right now, they haven't shot off the poison yet. See, they're just shooting off regular bombs, but eventually it's going to turn nuclear, and what's going to be in these bombs? It's going to be poison. It's going to suck up all the good. It's going to soak up the little good air that we have. And a lot of people is going to be poisoned by the airs because of these nuclear weapons that's going to be shot off in different countries. America is going to shoot their poisonous weapons off to other countries, and other countries are going to shoot their poisonous weapons off to America. And this war is going to spill over to what? All the people that's going to be engulfed into the situation, they're going to be fighting a war, thinking that they're fighting for righteousness' sake. Just like the Ukrainian and the Russian war. See? Let's turn to let's turn to the 21st chapter of the book of Luke, 16 verse. 21st chapter of the book of Luke, 16 verse. And it says, and ye shall be betrayed both by parents and brethren, kinsfolks, and friends. Some of you shall they cause to be put to death. And see, this is what's going on with a lot of these nations. It's because a lot of them, like China, Japan, North Korea, a lot of them are brothers and sisters. They just go by different tribal names and stuff like that, but they're still out of the same litter. That's the same thing with Russia and Ukraine. They really brothers and sisters. But because they have made the raw materials out of a god, they're fighting each other. And see, this is why I'm telling our people is that we have to make preparations in order to do what? To leave this country. But a lot of you not going to be able to leave it. To leave is because why? Only the remnant of the Creator is going to be saved. So a lot of you cats that's listening to the sounds of my voice, you're going to be destroyed. It's because if the Creator don't put it in your understanding, especially the so-called black man, is because, see, he is the natural and the spiritual seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But a lot of our people is not going to be able to do what? They're not going to be able to understand the times, the signs, and the times. And they don't even to this day. So when we look at the events that's taking place on the world stage, we have to understand that this war is going to turn nuclear, and you're going to have a lot of people that's going to lose their life. I'm talking about in the billions. In the billions, it's going to be billions upon billions upon billions upon billions people. It's over 7 or 8 billion people that's on the planet. When this war ends, I'm talking about the Third World War. We already in the Third World War. But I'm talking about when they're shooting off nuclear poisonous weapons, where you're not going to be able to wear a coronavirus mask. You're going to have to, you're not going to be able to come outside. So you're not going to be able to come outside. And what is your politicians doing? What is the big boys doing that got all the money? You know what they're doing? They're building underground cities. I'm going to show that on my next go around. I'm going to show you how they're building underground cities, and you know they're going to go down there even though they're going to be killed too. They're going to go down there and they're going to leave you out here. This how the 1% think about the people. They're building underground cities. When we go outside, and let's say if you stay in South Holland or wherever you stay at, they got underground worlds down underground. They have showed this on camera. It looked like a regular city, town, state, but you underground. And these are rich people that got money. Multi-billionaires, multi-millionaires, they got money. They already preparing for this because they understand that because they have created so much havoc in the earth that what? That's their escape route. So all these years you've been voting and you've been doing all this nonsense, but here it is behind the scenes. This is what they doing. And if when the bombs and when the bombs start, because America is going to be invaded by nuclear weapons. They have already came out and said this, that if Russia shoot off a nuclear weapon over here, they are not able, their technology is not able to stop those nuclear weapons, because why? They have advanced themselves. They have advanced themselves militarily. One nuclear bomb hit over here in the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois, is able to crash the city into the ocean. This is how powerful these weapons are. But you know, a lot of our people, this is what we're doing. We worried about the football game. We worried about the basketball game. We worried about television, all this time. Those things are cool, but we have to get in the mindset of doing what? We got to save ourselves. But see, a lot of you is not going to listen to this. It's because you're engulfed into everyday living. You're worried about paying the bills. You're worried about going on vacation. You're worried about wearing the latest clothes, all this type of stuff. You're not worried about storing up food. A lot of your money that you have in the bank, a lot of you brag about how much money you got in the bank. That money is not going to mean nothing. The only thing that's backing the money today is the military. Once the military has been depleted, the money is not going to mean anything, because they done already took the gold and the silver standard off of the money. Your money is not backed by anything anymore. It's backed by what? NATO or the military. This is why Russia is coming in. It's because if you playing chess, you have to make strategic moves. They're going to take over Ukraine. If they're successful in taking over Ukraine, this is the bargaining tool. They're going to set up their own puppet government and things of this nation in Ukraine, and they're going to use the natural resources that's in the ground. That's going to be the bargaining tool for Russia. This is why the gas is almost $6 and $7. This is why in certain parts of California, the gas then went up to $7. It's because and the lowest that is in California is at $5, almost $6. The reason why is because America has cut off its ties to Russia in terms of, because America is getting its gas from Russia. They getting oil from Russia. This is why the gas prices have skyrocketed. And this how evil these people is, right? This how evil the people is. It's because in a situation like this, where the people is suffering, why are you still raising the prices? It's because you're greedy. That's why they raising the price, because they greedy. Do you know that they can reduce the prices and they still can make a lot of money? But because they have made greed their gods, they're going to continue to raise these prices until this situation over there in Ukraine is what? Is resolved. But if Russia take control over the situation, if they take over the Ukrainian country and the government, they're gonna use that as a bargaining tool to do what? To get the sanctions lift off of them. See, they don't care about sanctions. Let's look at another scripture. Let's turn to Isaiah 13. Let's just turn to Isaiah 13. Then we're going to go back to Jeremiah. We're going to go to Jeremiah. They don't care about the sanctions. Isaiah 13 and 17, which shall not regard silver as for gold. They shall not delight. See, they don't care about the money. Because from a spiritual standpoint of view, they're eating what? Sardines in a can. They don't care about going to Whole Foods and go get the latest piece of meat. They're in a Cold War spirit. They eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. See? They eating Vienna sausages. That's what they eating. So they don't care. They're going to pour all their resources, all their money into what? Into their military. Into they nuclear weapons. Because the ones that hold the nuclear weapons, see, you got to respect them. Jeremiah 16 and 16. Behold, I will send for many fishers, saith Yah, and they shall fish them. And who is the fishers? That's the so-called Negro that's coming to the knowledge of self. They're going to be doing what? They're going to be preaching the gospel. And the gospel is what? The good news is the destruction of the European common market system. That's the good news. That's the gospel. And that we're going to be the next rulers over this planet. But a lot of you don't even see that because you don't even look at yourself as a ruler. 2022, we still calling ourselves African Americans. So when the gospel is out here preached that Babylon is destroyed, a lot of you is going to do what? You're going to reject this. And a lot of you going to be trying to fight. I'm talking about you so-called black folks. You're going to be trying to fight to maintain the country wherever you scattered at. And you're going to be destroyed for this. Behold, I will send for many fishers, saith Yah, and they shall fish them. And will I send for many hunters? So when the gospel, when the Creator is done for the nation of Israel to stop preaching the gospel, see, they're going to do what? They're going to leave all these different captivities that they're at, and the Creator is going to do what? He's going to send hunters, meaning that the nations that they have been oppressing for all these years, they're going to come against them, see? And they're going to hunt out their liberty. They're going to hunt out their liberty, and a lot of these folks, they're going to be destroyed. That's what we're looking at today. But a lot of you don't even understand that. It's because why? It's because you don't have the Creator in your heart, man. It says, I will send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill and out of the holes of the rocks. So the people that's going to be trying to live underground, the Creator's going to hunt them, see? They're going to be destroyed. And a lot of people is going to be destroyed in this Third World War. Let's look at this. Let's turn to the 18th chapter of the book of Revelation, then we're going to be done. 18th chapter of the book of Revelation. 18th chapter of the book of Revelation, first verse. And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightening with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and his fallen is become a habitation of devils. And who is Babylon today? America, the European Union, NATO, they all coming in the spirit of what? The Roman Empire. See, Rome is still ruling today. And not just America, the Russians, the Europeans have all come into the mindset and the spirit, Islam, Judaism, Christianity. They have all come under the jurisdiction of Rome because the Roman Empire is still ruling today. But it's ruling behind what? religion. And see, that's Satan in the earth today. And it's become a habitation of devils, and the hole of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. See, and what is that symbolic? The birds and all this type of stuff is symbolic of what? It's symbolic of the people. It's because the people, the masses of people, they have transformed themselves into what? Brute beasts. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Is because they have all taken on the spirit of the Roman Empire. Because the Roman Empire got it from who? Nimrod. That's what Nimrod was doing. That's what the Egyptians was doing. That's what the Assyrians was doing. The Chaldeans, the Medo-Persians, the Greeks, they all have went around the world conquering people. So when we're talking about how the world is going to go up in nuclear warfare, this is wise because they still have that old conquering spirit. Because they have taken on the spirit of the adversary. The adversary's man is to do what? Kill and destroy. It says, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. See, because fornication is what you would call an unlawful sexual act. See? So from a spiritual standpoint of view, the nations have all, from a spiritual standpoint of view, they have engaged in spiritual intercourse with the whore, which is who? Which is the Roman Empire of today. So they all affected. This is why they going around the world extorting other people, killing leaders, putting up new leaders. It's because they got that from Nimrod. It says, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I have heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people. Who is that? That's Israel. But only a small remnant is going to be saved. That ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not her plagues. What is that? What is her plagues? Her war, her disease, see, her philosophies. That's why we have to come out of this from a religious, political, and a social standpoint of view. It says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yah have remembered her iniquity. See, the Creator has remembered the Roman Empire's iniquities, how they came in and took the nation of Israel into captivity, how they have influenced the whole world with paganism. Even the Bible that we read today is mixed and mingled with paganism. Reward her as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. And the cup which she hath filled, fill it to her double. So all of the nonsense that she have created in the earth, she's going to get it, see? And this is what's going to happen to the Europeans, see? Just like the so-called black man, when he was in rulership, he had to reap what he sowed. And they're going to reap what they sow even to this day. For how much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she said in her heart, I sit a queen and no widow. And it says, and am no widow and shall see no sorrow. That's the arrogancy of the European Union. That's the arrogancy. But see, Russia, which is Gog and Magog, in the 39th chapter of the book of Ezekiel, Russia is the one that's going to take down America. That's why Russia don't care about sanctions. It's because the Creator has done what? The Creator has anointed Russia as his what? As his battle axe that's gonna come, and she is gonna destroy America and all these other countries that have aligned themselves with her. How much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her, for she have said in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is Yah who judgeth her. See, it's because that's the Creator. The Creator has set up all these different people, and the Creator is going to do what? He's going to bring them down, and they're going to die a horrible death, man. So for all you so-called Negroes, see, you are the natural and the spiritual seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and see, the Creator is waking up his remnant today. Because what we're looking at is a future that's going to take place in not just America, throughout the world. And the only ones that's going to be saved out of this situation is the remnant. So the reason why Russia is going over there to Ukraine is because Russia has to take control over Ukraine before America and the United Nations come in and take control. So with that being said, peace. Shalom.